Jalen does or does not win another Super Bowl?
Well, I will say I like the confidence.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm not going to say like. It's hard to win multiple Super Bowls. Ask Aaron Rodgers. Ask Dan Marino. Didn't even win one. So I don't know if I want to say it's likely he wins another. But I will say my belief is that he will win another Super Bowl. I think he will. Of the 13 quarterbacks that have won multiple Super Bowls, he can be as good or better than 7 of them. And I know you probably know the list.
Oh, yeah, but I want to hear your 7.
Well, you want the 7 he could be as good as?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or
some people want Terry Bradshaw.
Oh.
Who didn't have tremendous – he won an MVP, but his regular season –
I wouldn't have started there.
No. Terry – they're all
Coming in
great.
hot.
Yeah.
Aikman, Bart Starr,
Okay.
Bob Greasy, Eli Manning, Jim Plunkett, and Ben Roethlisberger.
So
I think he can be as good, if not better, as good as all of them.
So I disagree.
I didn't watch a lot of Bart Starr, but I did play against coach against Ben
I watched
Roethlisberger.
Bart Starr.
No, it's Ben Roethlisberger.
You probably covered them.
So I was just real quick. The reason I was surprised is I had 3 guys that I believe he is going to end up considered better than that are on that list.
Eli, Plunkett,
And Greasy. Eli Plunkett and Greasy. I think that I think Terry is so tough because the game was so different.
Yes.
And it was also like his passing numbers are going to look like he had a Super Bowl.
But even relative to that
I know,
time,
but he also was stylistically. I'm not trying to get into Terry Bradshaw discussion. I know you're going to get mad.
I like Terry
But
Bradshaw.
he also had I think he had a Super Bowl where he was 9 of 19 for 200 yards, which means
very hard to
it was
compare.
just bombs.
But he was so clutch.
Exactly.
But
So
a lot
clutch.
like Jalen,
So I
he
wouldn't
got
have
better in
said
the big
wouldn't have said Terry. The Aikmans, I probably also would not have said. I think it's interesting the other 6, you're just vetoing him the possibility.
Brady, Montana, Mahomes, Elway, Staubach, and Peyton.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not going to be as good.
But Eli is an interesting one because they are not at all similar stylistically and they're not at all similar pedigree-wise. Eli was the #1 pick of the draft. Where they are similar is Eli was excellent in those biggest moments in those playoff runs. Now, he had an odd playoff career because he won playoff games in 2 seasons ever. Right. 2 years he won the Super Bowl. Every other year he didn't win a playoff game. The quarterback that I have comped him to is Russ. And Russ obviously could have won a second one. Now, you could argue, and Jalen could have won a second one, it just was the first one. You know what I mean?
They both made big mistakes.
Right, and they both made in different spots big mistakes. I would be surprised if Jalen ends up being considered better than Ben Roethlisberger, which is where I think you were going with it. I do, though, think the Eagles are a great organization with a great GM, and they're going to
And right now they got a great team for several next few years.
They're going to be in the mix over the next few years.
Yeah, so that's I didn't break down the list and look back at those quarterbacks. I looked at this more from the fact that they've been to 3 out of the last 8 Super Bowls. They've been to the playoffs 7 out of the last 8 years. Okay, so those are 2 things. They've won 2 of those Super Bowls, and they've won with 2 different quarterbacks and 2 different head coaches. So to me, it's about the organization, and he has shown that he can win within this organization. So in my mind, yeah, he can definitely win another Super Bowl as long as this organization stays the way that it's been. They won those Super Bowls and have had that success without a Brady and without a Mahomes. So, yeah, that's where I took it as opposed to him versus other quarterbacks.
Right.
It's him within this organization.
Rube, my list is similar to yours, but I just did since Jalen's been in the league. So this is the list, and we've shown this a few times, multiple Super Bowl starts in their first 5 seasons. So the list is Brady, Hurts, Mahomes, Russ, Ben, Kurt, John Elway, and Troy Aikman. And then Josh said,
what do you mean it's since Jalen's been in the league?
Sorry, first for your first 5 seasons.
Amount of time.
These players
Troy
played
Aikman,
5
and
seasons.
they did not actually play.
I didn't know it.
Sorry,
Since
the first
Mahomes
5
include his first year when he didn't play.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then we sort of drew this out to what did they do for the rest of their career, and everybody except Russ got to another Super Bowl. So historically, Jalen is in this category, and it would be strange if he didn't get to at least one.
Get to another.
get to one. Maybe not win,
Yeah,
but if he got to another one, I'd consider that, a win for his career.
Oh, for sure.
And then, 3 guys got to multiple.
So
Yeah, this is so fascinating. I mean, a conversation like this is so funny because Jalen Hurts in 22 gets to a Super Bowl. In 23 had a terrible defense. He was injured. A.J. Brown was injured. They had 3 terrible coordinators, really, that were then fired. And they obviously came up short in the playoffs. And then the following year gets to the Super Bowl, sets records in the Super Bowl, team records in the Super Bowl in terms of most points scored and whatnot. And they obviously win the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl MVP. And now we're asking, more likely Jalen does or doesn't win another Super Bowl. Like, a conversation like this is so absurd because you're always more likely to not win a Super Bowl. It's just a statistical fact, right? I mean, like, it just is. You're always most likely to not win. And the problem that I have the problem that I take with a conversation like this is because it sets Jalen Hurts up to fail and the conversation surrounding him. Because getting to the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl are so brutal in the NFL that it's just like, if Jalen Hurts doesn't get to another Super Bowl or doesn't win another Super Bowl, like, it'll be seen as like, see, he wasn't good enough. He was a problem. He held them back. And that's already the narrative going into this season. That it's like, if the Eagles don't go back to back and win a Super Bowl, just winning a Super Bowl in isolation, but of course going back to back, it's going to be used as, see, they needed more from Jalen Hurts. Saquon Barkley only rushed for 1,600 yards and not the 2,000. The defense wasn't as great, and he didn't win. See, he could only win in a perfect situation. And it's just like, well, wait, like, what? Wait, what? What are all these other quarterbacks win? Like, wait, what? And that's the problem. That's the core and the source of a conversation like this. It can only be done in a way that backs Jalen into a corner. It's a lose-lose conversation for him, honestly. Because even if he gets to another Super Bowl, he's still not going to get the credit for it. He didn't even get credit for winning the Super Bowl. You think he's going to get credit for getting to another Super Bowl? I mean, even what Mangini was saying here about, organizationally. And again, the Philadelphia Eagles from an organization deserve a tremendous amount of credit. A massive, the bulk, technically, because they're the ones that are building the teams. Same thing for the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. It's the same thing for the Dallas Cowboys during that run from a million years ago. Same thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's how it works. Sean McVay got to a Super Bowl, lost, had Jared Goff, and then in year 1 with Matthew Stafford gets to a Super Bowl. But yet, no one's saying organizationally it was the Rams and taking credit away from Matthew Stafford. In fact, before they then had injuries and, had that type of issue, when there was a conversation around, can Stafford win another Super Bowl? Can they come back? No one said, well, organizationally, we have confidence in this. They were like, no, Stafford's clearly good enough. He's clearly a great quarterback. Look, that's the difference of conversations that are being had. When Patrick Mahomes wins a Super Bowl in 2019, and they said, what's more likely, that he wins another one or not? They're just like, well, Patrick Mahomes is so great. Of course. Of course. They didn't say, well, this organization is great, and look at the team that they're able to build, and they got Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and blah, 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 blah. They didn't do that. They didn't have that conversation. But it is about that with Jalen Hurts. Imagine if Jaden Daniels won the Super Bowl last year. Would they have that conversation? No, they wouldn't. Imagine if Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Joe Burrow won the Super Bowl last year. They might use this question as a jumping off point. Just because we got to talk about something and you got to ask a question, I guess. But it wouldn't be done in the way where we're looking at everything but Jalen Hurts. And that's what's so frustrating about a conversation like this. Because we know very well that Russ did not get a lot of credit for that first Super Bowl, that it was defense, defense, defense. I mean, that's part of why that locker room broke up and the whole Legion of Boom and, all of that. There was a lot of like, wait a second. I understand Russ is a quarterback, but like, why is he getting credit for this? Did you sense that at all with Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles in that locker room? I don't think so. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks in 2013, their defense was giving 14.4 points a game. I mean, that's outrageous. In the playoffs, they gave up 15 points to the Saints, 17 points to the 49ers, and 8 points to the Broncos. Okay? I mean, like, let's be serious here. What they actually needed out of Russell Wilson. I mean, throughout that entire playoff run, he had 43 completions. He was 43 for 68, 63.2% completion percentage, 524 yards, 3 touchdowns. And what did Jalen Hurts do that year? He actually was asked to throw the ball, 65 completions, 91 attempts, 71.4% completion percentage, 726 passing yards, 8 yards per attempt, 5 touchdowns, and an interception. Not to mention that Jalen Hurts had 65 completions and Russell Wilson had 68 pass attempts. He almost nearly had as many completions as Russ had pass attempts. And in that postseason, Jalen Hurts rushed for 194 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Russell Wilson rushed for a whopping 42 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 2 fumbles. And that's what we want to say is a great comp. Do you understand how insane it is and how insulting that is? Russell Wilson had 11 rushing attempts. He only was asked to run the ball 11 times. Jalen Hurts was asked to run the ball 34 times. So miss me with that nonsense. I mean, it's just kind of outrageous. So that's why I'm saying that these conversations end up backing someone like Jalen Hurts in the corner. I'm not just splitting hairs here. I'm not making something out of nothing. Like when we have a conversation like this, even when you want to be positive about it, you're not really telling the whole truth here. And even when you want to compare him to say, like, well, Russell Wilson, he went to a Super Bowl, he won, he went to a Super Bowl and lost, and, he was a pretty good quarterback. He had a stretch where people were like, hey, I think he's a Hall of Famer, but that kind of fizzled out, especially as soon as he went to Denver, and still a great year, a Super Bowl winner. At the end of the day, that's all you could ask for. And it's like, well, wait a second. Whoa. Wait a second. One quarterback contributed way more to both of their Super Bowl runs. One quarterback, when they actually won the Super Bowl, contributed way more. One quarterback, when they were actually in the biggest games, in the Super Bowl, in the NFC Championship game, etc., one quarterback was asked to do a ton more. Had to lead the NFL in playoffs in rushing. Had to pass up a storm. Like, what are we saying here? So that's why these conversations are just always getting derailed, and you got to be careful. You gotta be careful how they're being spoken about. Because even a conversation that seems like pretty neutral, it's actually legitimately not. It's really not. And even saying, I think he's, I compare him to like a Russ. It's like, and yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? What's more likely, Jalen Hurts does or doesn't win a Super Bowl, another Super Bowl? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.